In the last video, we swapped this entire front end from a 1962 Cadillac to a screen-accurate 1959 Ecto-1 front end. And in this video, we are installing a screen-accurate roof rack. Let's get into it. So if you haven't watched the last two videos, I strongly recommend watching that first because this was a very intensive swap and it's very rewarding right now. But we're not going to do anything with it right now. So if you want to see more of how I got here, go ahead and check out this video right there. It's 90% done right now. The front end's still loose, like the fenders and the core support a little bit, just because I'm waiting on these bumper ends to arrive from Desert Valley Auto Parts. A huge shout out to them. They supplied all of these parts and arranged transport, and they're helping me with everything that is wrong. What some of you guys will notice from the last video, this is a 1960 fender on this side, from that little lip. I was aware of that as soon as I received it. It was the first thing I noticed, beyond all the other little damage from transport. They've been very helpful, and they're sourcing me an entire new 1959 passenger side fender. So show them some support. If you have any needs for any classic car parts, just go give them a call. So I'm waiting on those bumper parts in order to align the fenders and get the height right, because you can see they're really low compared to the bumper here. It's supposed to go, you know, right there. So they need to come up a couple inches. We're not going to do that just because those aren't going to arrive till this next weekend. I am going to work on this. So I haven't shown you guys this, but everyone always asks about it. They always ask about the 59 front end and the roof rack. Like, when are those happening? Well, now that one has happened, time for the other. This is a very screen accurate replica of the roof rack. I had a supplier. It was kind of a drive, but it was worth it. Shout out to Todd Barber from Huntsville Steel here in Texas. He helped fabricate this. I just don't know how to weld, so he took it upon himself to do this in his spare time and did a really good job. I mean, these welds just don't exist. They're just gone. All these little welds, they're just perfectly smooth, and it's just one solid unit. There's a few things that are wrong with it that I need to work on today. One being it doesn't have legs, and he told me that he could take some extra time to fabricate them when I went to pick them up, but when I noticed them, but to be honest, like, I just don't have any time because there's a little secret surprise I'm working on, trying to get this car ready for a show really soon. So here in Texas, and I guess you guys can probably guess which big show it is. If it's happening mid to late May and it's a big show in Texas, you can probably guess which one it is, but I'm not going to announce it until I know for sure that I'll be able to bring the car. Anyways, we need to install little 3-inch legs, 4 of them. And then we need to add a little square pad with rounded edges that goes to each one that is going to lay on the roof. But not only that, I also need to fabricate some roof rack supports under the ceiling of the car. So let me show you the parts I got, and then we can go ahead and start fabricating the supports first. Those are something I'll be able to make a little bit more progress on while I wait for the welder to come in. I have a guy coming in to weld here in my yard, and he's gonna help me make these, make the legs, then weld the supports together, and then hopefully by the end of today, the roof rack is going on here and maybe staying forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna turn this flat steel into the legs. There are going to be 4 little round, square, rounded off edge legs with 2 bolts on each that they're going to be welded to the feet, or these are going to be the feet that get welded to the legs on the roof rack itself. And I'm also going to turn the rest of it into 4 long pieces that are going to connect the 1/2-inch square tube to itself. And let me go grab that steel. So here's what I'm going to be making the supports out of underneath the car. This is 1/2-inch steel, where the one that is like the whole roof rack is made out of 1-inch steel. So these are smaller and they're easier to bend and like by hand. So if it shows, you see how this part's bent. This was a 20-foot stick that I was able to bend by prying it on like a pole, like a support pole in a barn. I was able to bend it and snap it in half. You can see the other bend right there. So I was able to do that by hand. So this stuff is going to be perfect for what I need. And I don't have a drawing for myself just because I had one like a month ago and I don't know where it is. Basically, I'm going to have 4 of these sticks. and they're all going to be about 5 feet long, give or take, and they are going to be welded. Like 2 of each are going to be welded together, and they're going to be bent into hoops that are the same as the inner roof. And then they're going to bolt to the inner roof, and they're going to be, each 2 is going to be welded together with a couple plates. And then 2 of those plates in the middle are going to be used to bolt the roof rack to the supports, because I don't want these to make contact. I don't want these to push the roof down. I only want them to push the roof rack supports down. And these should be really, really strong. I just don't know how strong, so I'm going to be a little careful with them. But let's go ahead and start measuring, and then once I get the exact measurements again, then we can work on cutting these. Okay, I did my measuring, and so you can see this shorter stick is a 10-footer. The other one I think is like a 14, so I guess it was like a 24-foot joint. I went ahead and made the rear one is going to be made out of this 10-foot joint, and it's going to be 5 foot exactly for each. But you can see I made the cuts a little longer for the front one, so I made them 5 foot 3 inches. So I cut off 10.5. I'm going to cut off 10.5 foot, and then I'll have probably like almost 3 or 4 feet to do probably nothing with. All right, let's get into it. So I've got this 3-foot sheet that I got from Home Depot, and it's 3 inch by 3 foot. So what I'm doing is I'm making 4 3-inch squares. Now these are going to be the legs or the feet that go on the bottom of the roof rack. And then I've got these, sorry for my door, it's really creaky and annoying. And I've got these 4 6-inch sections. Now these are going to be the far ends. That's going to be these, the far ends of the roof rack supports. And then since I ran out, I'm going to be making this out of these. Oh, fuck, I just realized I need 2 more of these. Yeah, darn it. Well, I'm going to have to do this and then do it again. But basically, that's going to be what I use for the middle structure. It's the same steel. This is scrap that I got from Todd at Huntsville Steel. And I'm going to be using that to, you know, kind of finish up what I couldn't buy. And then let's just get into it. All right. I still have to go back and do the other side. It's hard to do both sides because when you try to hold this side you just ground, it got really hot. So I'm going to go back and do these off camera. But take a look, we got all these done, ready to go on. I don't know his process to weld. He's going to be here in a couple minutes, and then just going to weld. I just got to find the... do a little bit more measuring, and I'll get the exact locations, and then we're good to go. Okay, I'm here. I got the roof rack upside down, and I've got 1 long bar and 1 short bar. The shorter bars are going to be used for the back support. These are going to be used for the front support. And I went and I measured. I made sure that it was perfectly square. The roof rack is, because I did these measurements on the back, and then I scooted them up here and matched them. So these middle 2 are the location of the side bar, and then these outer 2, I grab that. These outer 2 are where the 3-inch bar is going to weld to, and there's going to be it's going to be a 3-inch by 6-inch brace that goes from one to the other, just like that. And then I also marked the middle and the middle, and I marked the same things over here. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for the welder when he gets out here. So all he'll have to do, he'll grind these down, add a leg, weld a foot to it, and do that on all 4 corners. And hopefully I'll be able to bend these into shape. If not, I might ask him to just put them in at an angle, because this is on an incline on the car. Because I don't think they'll suck down just by having 2 bolts, 1 on each corner. It would have to have all 4 to suck down, and I don't want to use 4. Maybe I'll just use the outer 2, I don't know yet. But he'll have to try to weld those in at an angle if he can, at an incline. And then as for these, he'll just weld right there at the end. He'll weld there. Well, actually, I should probably start bending these first. I gotta take a couple more measurements. Okay, I tested out hand bending the shorter one, and it actually does really good. This is actually probably all the angle I need for this bend. This one, I need more, so I'm gonna have to cut, do like a relief cut about halfway through, bend it in more, and have the welder tighten it up. But that's gonna be really good, so that means I can do most of this myself, and then just have all 4 of them match this angle, and then be good to go. Let me go ahead and cut this, and then bend the other side to match, and then do another cut, and then see how it looks. Better, huh? Let's try it out. It's kind of hard to film in here, but it runs along, and it's a little long, but I don't think it's actually long. I think I have one more cut to do right there. Like, it's hard to film, like right there, like just 3 inches up, because that'll get me out enough, and then I can get it as close in. I'll have to do another cut, run it along, and then that should be close enough, tight. And then once everything's once those squares are welded on, then I'll be able to get the angles exactly how we want, and then we can weld. All right, take a look at this, just a little bit more fit and finish. Those 6 cuts, 3 on each side, and it's tight enough that it's like pressing against the edge of the fabric right there. And it's got this gap that's pretty much exactly right for the 3-inch piece that's going in. So it's gonna be just going up a little bit more, so I'll do a little bit more fit and finish. I'll probably just make this one steeper and then spread this one out. Basically, you just kind of got to figure out the exact angle. So you're like, all right, it's too far down here, so this one's got to come out. And all right, now it's too, pointed forward, so now this one's got to go in. So you got to do a lot of fit and finish. And it took me about 6 or 7 tries, but now I've got it to where it sits really close to the top, really nicely. I'm really proud of this, honestly. And then it goes over here down to the other side. Not bad at all for literally no metal fab experience. Let's go ahead and mirror this on the other short one, and then that'll be the back done. And then honestly, I think I might just go ahead and make all 4 of them match, but I'm gonna make sure that this one fits on the back, because this is meant for the back. If not, then I'm screwed. But welder's still not here yet, so I have a little bit more time to fab up. But the other bracket is going to go right there against the top, and then it's going to weld, and there'll be another one, and then there'll be another bracket right there bolting it to this, and then that'll give us that strength we need. Sweet. Good enough. They reevaluate. So what we're doing is we're tacking this. We're just gonna weld it later. So now we got the angle right. Take a look at that. Hey, get up on in there. Beautiful. Very nice. Hit the warning. Now that's a very good warning because a lot of people don't know shit about this. I'm using the camera to hide it.
To hide what?
The weld. Okay, so while he finishes up welding up the roof rack, I'm gonna finish drilling all these and get them ready, and then try to get all these ready so we can just weld and go. So he's just about finished up with the second bracket, but I'll show you the first one. They're both a little bit different than each other, but they all do the same job. Basically just have this welded pretty thick over there. This is gonna be drilled and will mount to the side of the roof. And then this is gonna have two holes that the actual roof rack is gonna sit on. Going over here, same thing. And all these pie cuts are tacked, and that bottom support is welded as a lot more heavy than this. This one's just tacked, but this one's welded pretty good just because that one's the most important, because that one's gonna have weight pulling on the welds instead of this, which all the weight's just gonna be sitting on the welds, pushing down on them. So pretty excited about this. Once he's done, go ahead and bring the other one over here and sand it down and throw some primer on it, and then we'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna sand the area that these are gonna rest on, and then prime them, and then sound deaden them, and then put this under them. So it's gonna try to be as OEM as possible just in that area though. All right guys, take a look at this. Me and the welder just got done. He just headed out. We got these legs perfect. I might need to do a little grinding on those, but no big deal at all. See, the thing is, we also got the angle exactly the way I need it. So each one, it's not just, it's clocked this way, like this way, and it's clocked this way. So it's like three-dimensional. You have to get it exactly right, and we did first try. It's wonderful. I made these from scratch, and they're gonna be amazing. So tomorrow, I'll sand this down, prime it, paint it, and then go ahead and install it on the car. Let me show you the supports. Take a look at these bad boys. These are going to go in there. This one is going to go right there, and this one is going to go right there. They are perfect. They don't have any of the holes pre-drilled because I want them to fit super perfect. I did do this one early, but it ended up not being the one I'm going to use. I'm actually going to bolt straight to this one, so no harm, no foul. These are going to be installed in the roof after the, what we're going to do is make sure the rack's painted. We're going to set it here, get it exactly where we want it again, and then we're going to set these underneath it, and somehow we're going to drill through the holes in the top, down through the roof, and make contact and mark exactly where the holes go here and here. So we're going to take them back out and then drill the holes fully, prime these, paint these, and while those are drying, I'm going to sand those down, those areas down, prime, paint, sound deadener, just like I said earlier. Go ahead and reinstall it and install it permanently, so then we won't have to do this again. Okay, it's the next day. I'm about to start sanding those down and priming them, the roof rack supports, so I can install them. But I was also today really wanting to make a bracket for the battery. So the situation is the battery core support area has sucked down the amount of space I have because of this bar and this bracket that wasn't there on the 1962. So I took this panel off just because like that's how much space I need. Like I need just a little bit. You see how this is not straight? I'm thinking I'm just going to cut this off, this little lip, give me that extra ½ inch. That'll help me drop the battery in there. Because thing is, I really want to use the big one I've got, because this big one is super overpowered. It's 800 cold cranking amps and 105 amp reserve capacity. This smaller one is it's like 250 bucks. It's 450 and 70. and that's just not going to do for this engine, I don't think. Everything I see online says you need to have in the 600s or 700s or 800s, and not 450. So the 450 might work on like a Prius or something, but not on this. So I want to return that and just go ahead and cut this down a little bit. And you see it's not even straight. I don't know how to make it straight because it seems like it just welds straight on. I think it's just part of the fender. So the fact that it's not straight is bewildering me. I'll include it with whoever buys this fender so they can weld that back on, and so they have a complete OEM fender. So I'm not going to get rid of this scrap piece, but I am certainly going to cut this back, just because I need to make it to that show, and I don't know if the bumper pieces will come in time for me to align the front end, do all that. It might still be loose for the show, but I guess I'll just go ahead and mention for anyone that's this late in the video, the car is going to be, unless anything changes, the Ecto-1 is going to be at LS Fest, May 20th. So feel free to come around and take a look at the car in person. I'm like 95% sure it's going to make it, but just in case anything happens, I'm just announcing it at the end of this video. Let's see what I should do first. I'll go ahead and cut this over here. And then once I've made some progress to where I can at least fit the battery in, I'll worry about painting these and grinding these, because it won't be that hard to make a tray for this, I don't think. So let's go ahead and start with that. Well, it's in, which is good, because last time I couldn't even shut the hood. Oh, how much have you been able to see? So it's in right now. I don't know when you fell over. Sorry about that. It's in. It probably wouldn't hurt to do a little bit more cutting on this, especially on the bottom part, just so it can really snug down. But since I don't have an exact location of where I want to put this bracket, I might just leave it like this for the show and then make the bracket after. I don't know yet. But that's promising, so now I can start the car up and move it around without worrying about the hood contacting. All I have to worry about is this falling over. I also did figure out that these brackets, there needs to be a bracket that mounts to, remember these that I mentioned? Those actually hook up to there, and the reason this one is upside down and this one is in is because I have two, I guess that's two driver's side brackets. So this one is an extra driver's side, so I need a passenger side one, but I'll just make sure they send me one with the 1959 fender that's coming in. So then this will be flipped down later. But that's enough to get these bolted in, which is very good. I'll work on that in a minute. Now that we're good on this and it's able to drive again, we can focus on grinding down all the rust and primering the stuff. Okay, so these are drying. I've got to flip these over and do these. This one's already ready. I decided to save some time. Yesterday I had mentioned I'm going to sound deaden and sand down the rust and rust reformer on the roof. I am going to do that, but since I'm running out of time to get it ready for the show, I'm going to go ahead and not do that right now, because the roof rack's got to come off again anyways in order to put all the wood in and all the sniffer and the radome, all those little components on the roof. All those have to go in this, so that means it means that I'm gonna have to take it out anyways. So I'm not gonna do all the fit. There's a lot of stuff I need to fix. I need to fix the paint on this. I need to wet sand it. I need to do another coat of paint because the paint didn't turn out really good when the guys did it the first time the guys that made it. So there's a lot of things I need to do to fix, and I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna do that later. So at the show, these are gonna be matte, like the legs are just gonna be matte primer, and then the rest is gonna be gloss black. So it's gonna look a little weird, but I really don't care. Yeah, we got the roof rack back in for the second to last time, maybe. Still got to do a little bit of measurements, but we kind of know where it is. where it needs to go just because of the welding marks from when we did the tacks yesterday, which people are gonna be like upset about that. I am gonna paint over those. The thing is, since this roof rack's coming off again anyways, I'm gonna do that after LS Fest. So we're gonna leave those on for the show. So if you see them, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? But trust me, this is just like, cause it's a work in progress. That's gonna be painted over. I'm gonna sand those down and throw another coat on the roof later, but not right now. Once we get this exactly where we want, I measure this against the door line, make sure that every hole is exactly where I want it. I'm going to drill the holes and then I'll use those to kind of figure out exactly where I want to put the roof rack supports, because roof rack supports, they don't really matter. They're 6 inches wide, so I can be here or here and it doesn't matter. So I can put those really wherever I want. I'm just going to use these holes through the roof as reference. All right, I've got the measurements right. I'm gonna drill these off camera just because I'm running out of camera space again. But basically I've just been measuring from this point down to here, all the way around, except I don't have the windows. So I'm measuring from here to where the paint starts, like of where the faux window trim is. And it's close within a 1/4 inch. Just making sure that they're all 15 inches, because that's what the space should be, is 15 inches on all of them. And it is, so it's perfectly straight. I'm just gonna go ahead and mark those spots and start drilling. All right, so I'm in the car. It's kind of hard to tell your orientation, but there's the back door. So I'm looking up, and I've got the bolts. What I did was I went ahead and had 2 of these drilled on one side, so I loosely set them in, and then I used that as reference to mark where I needed to drill these holes, and I got them in. The issue is I thought that I could run my hand back here, but that's about as far in as my hands can go. There's a ridge, there's a different piece of metal right there that is going to stop me from accessing it. So if it comes down to it, I might have to cut right here so I can access behind it. I might have to cut this little pocket out on both sides. I don't want to, but you gotta do, right? So I'll go ahead, and this is good enough for now since I don't have any weight in it, but I'll have to fix this before I put a whole lot of weight in it. But this is good enough for now, just because this is gonna help keep the roof rack secure, and then we'll go and actually hard mount it to here later. But it's doing a pretty good job right now, just of distributing the weight, and it's making contact with the sides, so that's good. Let's go ahead and get the front one in. All right, I've got them pretty much in. I'm just running into a little bit of stuff that I'm going to tell you how I fix it, but since I'm almost out of camera space, I'm going to have to go ahead and end the video the way it is. Right now, these are, like the roof is already holding the weight fine. It's not flexing or warping at all, just because there's no weight up there pretty much. Running into issues where I'm going to need to use self-tappers there and there, just because I can't access back there on either the front or the back. So I'm going to have to use self-tapper screws, and I really thought that I could get away without those. Only reason I just couldn't find the right ones at Home Depot that I wanted. I knew what I wanted, I just couldn't find them, so I was like, screw it, I'll just use some normal bolts. Can't do that. I'm almost done getting these in. It's just I'll have to, on the front, I got to cut that a little bit off. You remember how I said I made the front longer than the back? That I shouldn't have, because I need them to be as high up as possible. So I actually got these pretty much exactly where they need to be. I just need to cut the bottom off. I'll do that off camera, but just know that I'm doing it. Like I said, I'm trying to rush through some of this stuff just so I can get it ready for LS Fest. Just trying to get the fitment and everything set up. And then it's all coming out again anyways, like with the wiring. I mean, I showed you guys how I did the wiring, and then it looked like hell. But now, I mean, all that is going to be tucked up into this little channel pretty soon. Actually, I can do that anytime I want. And those are going to be tucked in. And now I've got that little switch panel down there. So, I mean, I do it right afterwards, but I'm kind of just showing you guys stage 1, which I guess that's something I should work on. But yeah, that's looking good enough for now. I mean, I'll take it out and then put more weight on it later. No weight is going to be put on these until those are bolted into the side, because I want this to support all the weight. I don't want those to do it, you know? Makes sense. Well, guys, we were able to make tremendous progress on the Ecto-1 this weekend. We got the roof rack installed. Again, huge thanks to Todd Barber with Huntsville Brandon for coming out and helping us finish up the little odds and ends, and for helping me fabricate the roof rack supports. Again, if any of you guys are going to be in Dallas around May 20th, I'm not going to be the 19th, but if any of you guys are available on the 20th in Dallas, want to go to LS Fest and come see the Ecto-1, any subscribers, anyone that shows that they subscribe, let them sit in the car. I guess, I don't know. It's going to be the first time this car's been at a show, so I'm really excited. I don't really care if the paint's not done yet because we're going to do that later. Kind of adds to the character. But yeah, we've got a lot left to do, so I will see you guys next week.